Hello, and welcome back to Performance Check. My name is Ethan Mann, and I am your Dungeon Master. I have three wonderful players joining me today. Say hi, wonderful players.
Hi, wonderful players.
Amazing. For those of you out in the listening audience, unfortunately, our good friend Jimmy has had the plague infect their entire apartment. So they will be sitting out for this special presentation from Performance Check, but we are sending love to New York and hoping that they all get better soon. Special presentation, Ethan, what does that mean? Well, you are just in time, dear listeners, for the Christmas season. That time has, in fact, come around once again, and we will be celebrating with some D&D shenanigans. So we have a special one-shot that we are going to work through today, which means you're going to get some new characters coming your way. Set in a whole different world, whole different vibe. I think this is going to be a fun thing. So since we're diving into new characters, I think we're going to forego our typical little icebreaker questions and jump right in. As the year comes to an end, it brings with it flurries of snow and cold, bustling winds. Out in the mortal plains, people have cut down trees and brought them into their homes, stuck candles to the branches, strung garland and the like across their front porches, all sorts of festive things to enjoy the ending of another year. As they do this decorating, they expectantly look towards the benevolent being known as St. Nicholas, looking forward to what he might bring and leave under these trees that they've brought into their homes. But as the mortal plane does these preparations, there is a bit of trouble in the Council of Holiday Mascots. Communications to the North Pole have gone icily quiet, and an emergency meeting has been called to address the radio silence from jolly old St. Nick. At this emergency meeting, 3 people formerly on the naughty list have been summoned to attend. Let's roll a die here to decide who walks in first. Claudia. In walks your character to this round council chamber that has swirling bits of holiday magic that glisten through the air. As you walk in, you see tinsel that almost jumps like fish through the air, appearing and then disappearing. There's snow that whips through the air before the wind dies back down again. And around this table, sitting in the very center of the chamber, you see a wise-looking old man with a staff, with an hourglass atop it. You see about a 7-foot-tall snow-white rabbit with bright pink nose and ears. You see a small fairy with shining wings and a little wand, and they all turn to look at you as you enter this chamber. Can you please describe your character for us?
Yes, so Vespera is a tall tiefling. She is basically all red from her hair down to her clothes, down to her feet. She has kind of like gladiator sandals on, and a short sword strapped to her side. Her hair kind of flows like flames, and her bright green eyes kind of pierce as she's looking around in kind of like a annoyed fashion. She kind of moves to the side and shifts and just goes, "What am I doing here?"
As you say that, these creatures turn to look at you, and the old man says,
Vespira.
Ew.
Welcome, my child. Please join us. We expect a few more before we begin.
She'll kind of like shift her sword a little bit, almost ready to draw if necessary, and step over to the side very cautiously and just kind of look in and take a look around at what she has just walked into.
You see the rabbit looks at you and says, welcome to the council. Have you, well, it seems that you probably have not gotten the briefing yet if you're not sure why you're here. So why don't you take a look at this? And he slides a manila dossier folder over to you.
She will kind of stare at this rabbit and be like, you need speech therapy. And then she'll pick open and move the manila folder off to the side and then kind of like move her fingers around it.
You see he was about to offer you this chocolate egg, and as you say you need speech therapy, he slowly pulls his arm back in. As you open this dossier, you see a cover page that says The Mutation of the Mary on the front.
God. And she kind of looks through it. Mutation of the Mary. And she'll kind of look through it, pick it up, and just kind of use it as a fan to cool herself off from her never-ending heat.
Amazing. As you are fanning yourself to cool off, Mikey, your character is next to join us.
All right, so into this chamber walks a about average build. Actually, average is probably the best way to describe Cameline. An average build wood elf. She doesn't really draw attention to herself. She is still in her. She still wears and keeps very clean and prim and proper her war nurse uniform from when she was a battlefield medic. With her nurse beret on and white surgeon gloves on, as she kind of takes stock of everything, and her potion bottles at her side kind of click, click, click together. And she picks a speck of no one else sees lint off of her shoulder and looks around the room once again before very calmly walking towards the table, towards an empty seat, and then pausing and waiting to be addressed.
Cameline, welcome. Your travels were uneventful.
Nothing but a spot of bother.
Very good. Easter Bunny, if you would, a dossier for our friend.
And the Easter Bunny slides you a dossier as well. And as you open it, you also see it says The Mutation of the Mary on the cover page.
She kind of slowly flips through this. Not seated, still waiting for someone to pull open the seat for her. As she flips through the dossier, her eyes landing on Vespira, doing a little up-down, giving a little nod before perusing the dossier once more.
Vespira will go ahead and just pull open that seat for Cameline and say, well, aren't you just the prettiest little thing?
Cameline will graciously sit down. And as she does, she'll be like, I'm glad someone here has plenty of manners.
Oh, I have manners all the way from my toes to my head and maybe even in between. What happened to make you attend this merry little meeting?
No, I received an invitation, and ever since the war ended, life's been a little quiet, so figured I'd try to do some good.
Oh.
I assume you also have some naughtiness in your ledger you'd like to get rid of.
I like being a little bit naughty, but I guess when someone brings you in shackles and hands you a notice, sometimes you have to attend.
And as you say that, the door swings open for the third time. Evan, would you please describe your character for us?
You guys will see a very, very small character walk on in. We're talking like just a little bit over 3 feet tall, and he's carrying this big pack behind him. As he walks, he enters into the room and drops it down in front of him and kind of just reaches, gasping for breath for a minute, as this backpack weighs easily 3 times as much as he does. He has this bright red mohawk that matches this bright red bandana tied around his neck. And he has a tall pair of black rubber boots. This little goblin creature with these sharp teeth and piercings all up and down his face and ears. He looks up after catching his breath at the council presented in front of him, and he'll kind of just immediately brush himself off really quickly and stand up straight. Put his hand in front of his face like he's wiping off an emotion, like before like a scene or something, and you'll hear him go, "Looks like the circus is back in town."
Ew.
Ah, Stinger. Welcome, my child. Won't you take a seat?
And he'll take a quick kind of scan up and down, find the seat next to Cameline, and heft this pack back over his shoulder, immediately winded again, nearly taken to the ground, as he slowly marches his way over to the seat, before dropping it down, pulling out his seat, and scrambling up onto the chair like a cat.
Sorry, sometimes that's just too much.
Excuse me? Do I know you?
I hope not.
He doesn't even seem to like acknowledge that you say anything, and begins to rifle through his bag. Looking over at him, you see him stick his entire head inside his bag, and he's just kind of just locked in that position for a minute or two.
At this point, Cameline has pulled out a thermos and is like pouring herself, like she's also procured like a teacup and a plate for her teacup, and is like pouring herself a glass of tea as she's like, this is gonna be a long day.
Stinger, as you pull your head back out of your pack, you see this like 7 foot tall white rabbit standing in front of you.
Can I help you?
Just here to give you this paper.
He's gonna just quickly snatch it in his hands and then just put it in his bag without looking at it.
He kind of like bends over and does like a quick look once over of you, Stinger, and goes, well, your dear got quite the choice for this. Bottom of the barrel must start to be getting scratched. Anyway, let's get the meeting starting. I think we've got everybody here.
He's immediately just gonna hiss at you, bro. Hiss at the Easter Bunny.
He hops around the table, drops a chocolate egg on each of your in front of each of you, and then takes his seat.
Vespera takes her hand and just like sets her pointer finger on the chocolate egg and stares at the Easter Bunny as it just melts down onto the table.
Stinger is violently already chewing with his mouth open, and it's just going everywhere and drooling down his face.
Cameline has taken out a handkerchief and has wrapped the chocolate egg around it and then has stored it into her bag.
Stinger, roll me a d10, please.
Oh god, what? Oh no.
Choking damage.
That's a 9.
Damage.
That's a 9. Please don't make me take 9 choke damage.
You can have 9 temporary hit points.
Oh, yippee! Okay, cool.
As you munch on this chocolate, and you feel like a warmth spread through you from just like the most delicious milk chocolate that you've ever tasted in your life.
This is game changing, but you wouldn't be able to tell. It is still just drooling down his face.
Cameline takes out another kerchief and then drops it in front of Stinger.
Stinger takes it and puts it in his bag.
The fairy, who has thus far been quiet, kind of taps her wand against her other palm and says, well, this is gonna be interesting. She then looks at Father Time and says, we might as well get this started if we've got everybody here. And Father Time sort of inclines his head to the Tooth Fairy and says,
indeed, we shall. if you would all please open to page 3 of your dossier.
Vespera, kind of still fanning, she rolls her eyes and then delicately opens it up and just kind of flits through to page 3.
I can't read.
Why am I not surprised?
Above table here, Stinger's intelligence is 4.
Oh my god.
Oh my god.
Cameline will look Stinger Flynn up and down and give a sniff and start very quietly reading aloud for Stinger in the same way that one would read to an orphaned child.
There are also accompanying photos for you, Stinger.
That's more my speed. Thank you. And he'll just kind of glance over Cameline's shoulder at her dossier because his is still in the bag and he does not care to grab it.
As you flip to the third page of your dossier, you find the original painting of the Thomas Kincaid Santa's Workshop picture. Like on this beautiful parchment for you. Oh, don't tell me you all don't know who Thomas Kincaid is.
Yeah, let me
I'm
just go
looking
ahead and
it
look
up.
that up really quick.
Let me look that up.
Man.
I
I know this one. I know this one.
You know, it's hard. I confused him with the other famous Thomas. You know, Thomas the Tank Engine.
Yeah,
Oh,
the
sure.
plan.
It's very easy to do. Very easy to do.
Yeah, I've seen this picture.
Santa's Workshop?
Thomas Kincaid. Yeah.
Yeah. See, it's easy now that I'm looking at it. Why I thought
Okay.
Thomas the Tank Engine.
Hey,
'cause it's a train.
listeners, good luck.
Yeah, good luck. We didn't know what he was talking about either.
Oh,
God, it's $1,075 just for on canvas. Is this guy famous?
I'm pretty sure I've
Yeah.
seen my grandma do puzzles of this before.
Hey, this is I recognize the drawing now that I've seen the painting now that I've seen it.
So as you all take in this beautiful piece of original art, Father Time says,
Thank you to our dear friend Thomas for providing the illustrations today.
The Tank
he's,
Engine.
He's in world. He's in world.
What?
He's canon.
He is a dear friend of mine.
So we're not talking. We're not talking about the same locomotive that would deliver supplies to the front lines. Okay, wonderful.
You're not only gonna take this photo and put it in the campaign, but you're gonna make him in world.
Yes.
He's a part of
meanwhile, Mikey over here making Sodor the location of the Great War.
I never said Sodor. Maybe he got imported in. I don't know.
That
my
listen,
God.
Oh my God.
that does sound fantasy world though. The
I'm gonna
island of
freaking lose
Sodor.
this.
Oh,
I'm gonna lose it. I'm gonna lose it, man.
that's funny. Hey, that's funny.
Wow.
Hey,
Made
you know
Thomas
what?
Kincaid and Thomas the Engine canon.
If your name is Thomas, you exist in this world. It's not. I'm sorry. It just
Oh,
happens.
the Tommy.
As you continue to flip through this dossier, there are more beautiful illustrations for you to take in, including Santa on his sleigh delivering pictures, a brief history of the magic of the North
Thomas
Pole.
Kincaid, Santa on sleigh.
This might be
Google.
something I'm just making up.
Okay, never mind.
And as you continue to flip through, you start to see what almost to your untrained eye looks like the weight of the responsibility of Christmas starting to wear down on Santa's shoulders until you get further into the dossier and his shoulders seem to contort and an eye seems to start to bulge as he watches down the naughty and nice list. Father Time says,
As you can see from your documentation, the mortal being once known as Saint Nicholas, who was promoted to this higher status, has been compromised by the magic that flows through him every year.
Amateur.
The weight of the responsibility of Christmas has distorted his mind and twisted his body. This is something that has been on our radar, but has greatly accelerated in the past few days.
This is why you need to show your PTSD victims support.
Indeed. And in this regard, it seems we have failed.
Well, that sounds like a unionization problem.
That is why you are here. Our communications with the North Pole have gone quiet. We fear the worst may have happened. And we ask you to evaluate the situation in the snow and do what must be done to save Christmas.
Now, why would I do that? What's in it for me?
Because if you do, this will provide you with a immediate path to the nice list for the remainder of your lives.
So what you're asking for is a mercy kill?
If that is what must be done, then yes. However, if he is able to be saved, we ask that as well. It shall be left up to your discretion, and questions will not be asked.
Why put so much faith on us?
Your files were particularly rich for this opportunity, considering each of your pasts.
And
Well,
is this one of those end up as Santa Claus if you kill Santa Claus type things? I saw the movie.
not as
So
putting
now
the Santa Claus in.
So now the movie is canon in this universe.
That's all it takes. One message. One I can't think of the word. One mention.
Okay, so if you're listening, just so you know, it's very important information. The movie The Santa Claus is canon in this universe. I know you were all on your... I know you were
on the edge
all
of your seat.
begging to know. Yeah, on the edge
Oh,
of your
and don't
seat.
and
Thank
do
you.
not forget that Thomas Kincaid as well as Thomas the Tank Engine are also canon.
Remember this when next time you listen to Maple Morrow. That
Because this
technically-
all goes...
This is actually
Well-
the same universe.
There is a chance that Felicity has read a book about the history of the war efforts of Thomas the Tank Engine in the
There
Great
is a
War.
chance. There is a chance that Rudy did sit the kids down and they all did watch the Santa Claus together.
Are movies a thing?
Well, they are now.
Well, now they are!
Not in Maple Morrow, they aren't.
Or do we just call plays movies for like the if they're like low budget?
I saw the show.
Yeah, our traveling troupe does the
I
Santa
saw the
Claus.
performance.
William Shakespeare's great history play, The Santa Claus, greatly misrepresents the true legalities of the contract. It will not be a non-consensual forcing of the position if not desired.
As you continue to flip through this dossier, you find a map of the North Pole and a at the very end, legal-looking document describing your mission with an X and a line at the bottom.
Now, before you partake in this adventure, we do ask your signature so that your fast track to the nice list may be seamless.
Is there a fine print?
There's only this single page before you.
The Tooth Fairy says, "There's none of those tricks or anything like that that we you hear about in these malevolent creatures. There's nothing like that in there. It is
Insight check.
just..." Sure, roll an insight check.
I am 100% insight checking that. I don't know about this.
I would insight check the Tooth Fairy.
That's a 20 for a 26. Ethan, tell me, are they lying to me?
You get the feeling that this creature who apparates and disapparates into the homes of children to steal their fallen teeth and leave them money is a trustworthy being.
But are they lying right in this moment?
I said what I said.
On a nat 20, God cannot tell me he's lying.
Now, what? I understand that we might have abilities that you may seem as important to this mission, but you all are some of the most powerful beings in the whole holiday universe. Why not just do this yourselves?
The WHU, the whole holiday universe.
Alas,
Huh?
alas, powerful as we may be, our individual capabilities are nullified by the realms of the others. This was done so that the council may not interfere with each other's jurisdictions.
A Cold War contract. I'm familiar.
You just get hotter every second.
She shoots you a wink as she takes another sip of tea before pulling out a quill to sign her name on the dossier.
Well, I've got nothing to lose. And Vespera will take her long fingernail, and there's a little bit of flame that comes at it, and she'll just glide her finger over and sign her name.
Stinger's gonna watch you do this, and then once you finish, he's going to grab your hand and point it at his line.
And Vespera's like, ew, 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 and she quickly signs Stinger's name.
Very well. Let it then begin.
And he gives a little shake of his staff, and you see a few additional pieces of sand, grains of sand, fall to the bottom of the hourglass atop his staff. Before you appears a swirling, chocolatey-looking drink inside a stoppered round vial. And you see just a little bit of steam swirling inside of this with the drink as well.
You may find this to be most useful at an opportune moment. In addition to the eggs one of you still possesses.
Can I investigate this? And given that Cameline is used to weird concoctions of all sorts, can I have advantage on that?
Sure. Roll it with advantage.
Oh, wait. Can I switch it to a medicine check?
Sure. I will allow that.
Yeah. Yeah. I love making Ethan have to rethink things. 24.
This appears to you to be hot cocoa, which you know has greater restorative properties than other drinks in the realm.
Cameline will pocket hers and kind of give a nod. As she closes the dossier, also slides it into her bag. And is like, well, shall we be off? We don't have all day.
The other two, are you ready to go?
Yeah, Vespera will go ahead and pocket that drink and just kind of take the dossier, leaving the signed contract, and then all of it just goes up into flame as she sits forward and twists her hair.
Stinger will look over at you again, Vespera. God, why can't I do that? And he's gonna jump down from his chair and grab his backpack and lift it over him again, 3 times his weight. Drop the hot cocoa in there first, and then just begin to lug it back down the way he came.
Amazing. Father Time stands at the table, as do the other two. representatives of the council, the Easter Bunny and the Tooth Fairy. And the Tooth Fairy kind of gives you a little finger wave and says, "Best luck. I hope that you don't die." And the Easter Bunny says, "Oh, I'm sure that they'll be fine. Just don't worry about it. And you all were chosen for a very particular reason, and I think that you are all going to do wonderfully."
Slow down.
That's a wonderful way of saying we're expendable. Thank you.
Enjoy that chocolate, Cameline. And Father Time swirls his staff in such a way that you see the sand of the hourglass almost forms like a whirlpool at the top and starts to drain into the bottom. And he, in this booming voice, calls out, "Int frigora!" And you all, in almost like a sandstorm, are caught up in this swirling sand that mimics the swirling of the hourglass at the top of his staff. And suddenly then, that drops away, and you all feel a chill reach into your bones as you are suddenly standing in a swirling snowstorm. A beautiful stone archway stands before you with gold embossed lettering across the top that reads, "The North Pole." And in the distance, about 100 feet away from you, though difficult to make out because of this snowstorm, you see what looks to be a very cozy wooden building that seems dark and almost uninhabited, where all of the stories that you have heard tell of the North Pole being this warm and jovial place. This place seems dark and cold. Off to the left from this building seems to be a stable, from which you hear the sound of neighing every once in a while. But otherwise, this place seems void of life. What would you all like to do?
I assume we should go to the house and knock on the door. Any objections?
As long as you're there, I'm there.
She'll kind of fix her hair for a second and then turn to Stinger and go, "And you, sir?"
I don't have any other ideas. Can you carry this? And he's gonna drop his bag down and start walking towards the door.
Cameline will do like the most like gasp and then kind of look down at it, like nose crinkling a bit in disgust, and then slowly turn to Vespera, putting on the biggest "please, I don't want to do this" eyes.
Oh, God. Vespera will lean forward and take her claws and just kind of lift it up. And I'm assuming that it's a lot smaller for her, so she just kind of carries it off to the side, kind of up around her head, like, ew, and walks forward.
As you pick up this bag, it seems to, like, vibrate in your hands.
She, like, kind of gags a little bit. And she's like, "I don't even want to know." And drops it right next to Stinger at the door.
Hey, be careful with that. Be very careful with that. All right, valuable merchandise in there, all right? And he's just gonna immediately reach up, like, as tall as he can get, and reach, like, the middle of the door and start knocking.
As you reach up and knock on this door, all that you are met with is the whistling of the wind in your ears. What is all of your passive perceptions?
Ooh, is this a character that has good passive?
12.
19, baby.
19, 12.
1 second. 12.
Cameline, your sharp ears, always on alert from training in the battlefield, perk up. You hear a slight rustling coming from behind you and to the left.
And she'll, as she's like looking at the door, go, 8 o'clock. Something at 8 o'clock.
Vespera will immediately turn and hold onto her sword with her right hand, and with her left kind of cast it upward as if ready to send out a spell.
Brilliant. Everyone roll me perception checks.
I'm killing it, bro. I don't know what it is. The last, couple recordings, I've been killing it. 19 plus 2.
You had a 13.
14.
You all see one from your left, one from your right, one coming straight at you. Almost mounds in the snow that seem to be weaving and curving their way towards you.
Cameline will try to push on the door to see if they can just get in. Like, push or pull on the door to see if it's unlocked.
The door appears to be locked.
Vespera will go ahead and just cast Fire Shield on herself. This is basically just fire that envelops her body and gives me resistance to cold damage.
As you cast this spell and this fire envelops your body, you all see 3 large, long, white-haired, behorned upon their head creatures leap from the snow and roar in unison with each other. Their long teeth bared, their sharp claws ready to attack. I'm going to need all of you to please roll me initiative. As these hulking yetis leap from the snow, Cameline, you are first to act.
You will see Cameline, who hasn't turned around, by the way, because she just heard them, reach into her bag. I'm going big. Reach into her bag, pull out this bright red and yellow potion, and are they all within? And now she'll turn around, and are they all within 20 feet of each other?
I'll say yes.
She's just gonna give it a light toss into the center of them, and as she does, she kind of gives a wink and goes, "I wouldn't get burned if I were you, and I need them all to make dexterity saving throws," as she casts Flame Strike on them.
That's going to be a dirty 20 for the one in the center, a 12 for the one on the left, and a 13 for the one on the right.
So the one in the center saves, but everything else will take full damage. So they'll take one will take half damage, the rest will take full. So they're going to take 14 fire damage and 8 radiant plus from a blessed strike, another 6 radiant on the one that resisted. The resisted one, that's just an extra damage, it doesn't get resisted. As this huge inferno just spreads and goes like a boom from her potion exploding.
Oof. You see, as that potion explodes, the one in the center almost kind of tucks its arms in on itself to protect it from this blast. But the other two, you see on the left and right sides, accordingly, this hair, this bright white hair, almost get burned away. And you see underneath blubbery black flesh, almost like a polar bear, that seems to get seared by this burning. Is there anything else you would like to do with your turn?
No, Cameline will just kind of watch the inferno go up for a second, kind of give a sigh, and then go, unfortunate. You have it from here, right?
Amazing. It is then going to be the turn of the Yeti on the left that just took that damage. It, having taken that full force of that damage, is going to turn its eyes onto you, Cameline, and I am going to need you to make me a Constitution saving throw, please.
Ugh, that's not good. That's a 9.
You see these eyes turn on you, and you see almost like flakes of snow drip from this creature's eyes. You are going to take 12 points of cold damage, and you feel your body lock up, almost as if being encased in a block of ice. You are paralyzed. It is then going to jump forward and attempt to claw you. So it's going to be a 14 to hit on the first attack.
That will miss.
That's then going to be a nat 20 for a 26. on the second attack.
That will hit. Not that it matters since you're already critting me.
So that is going to be 12 points of slashing damage and 9 points of cold damage to you, as it almost like takes like a chunk out of the door behind you, right above your head with this first swipe, and then tears through you with its claws on the second strike. It is then going to be the center Yeti's turn. It looks briefly at Vespira, sees this fire, almost seems to like quail back a bit from this fire, and turns its attention to Stinger. Stinger, can you please make me a Constitution saving throw?
I would love to. That is a 12.
Stinger, you likewise see the snowflakes drip from this creature's eyes, as you also feel your body lock up. And you're going to take, that is cocked, you're going to take 14 points of cold damage and are also paralyzed. This center creature is also then going to reach over to you and attack for a 16 on the first and a dirty 20 on the second.
Yeah, you auto crit because we're paralyzed.
Is that true?
Attack rolls against
Yeah.
us have advantage, and any attack you hit with is a crit hit anyways.
Yeah.
You are right.
Maybe.
Okay, so did both of those hit then?
They both crit, actually, yeah.
Okay. So that is going
Wait,
to
hold on,
be...
wait. You rolled those with advantage, right?
I did not. So we're going to say that was the dirty 20 was the first one. And then 17 and then a nat 1. So that's 23 and then a 7.
So yeah, those will both hit.
All right. So that's going to be 15 slashing damage and 8 cold on the first one. And then 7 slashing damage and 2 cold on the second.
Yep, cool, awesome.
Vespira, it is your turn. You have just seen your two new allies become instantly paralyzed and a little bit eviscerated by these Yetis.
Vespira will look to the sides and take a look at her allies and just kind of grimace a little bit, like, ooh. And she will go ahead and cast Flame Strike. 10-foot radius, 40-foot high cylinder, centered on a point. So she's going to center it right on the middle one. And then from... Is the middle one about 10 feet away from the ones on either side?
Yeah, the middle one is still about 10 feet away from you. These other two have jumped forward and are basically backing you against this locked door. And the third one that you are attacking is still about 10 feet away from you. It has not yet approached.
Okay, so she's going to center this just a little bit in front of that in order to catch these two also in this circle, if you'll allow that.
Sure.
Okay. Beautiful. And then I need a dexterity saving throw from all three of these Yetis.
Okay. Just grab 3 d20s here. That is going to be a 16 for the one that is 10 feet away from you, an 8 for the one on the right, and a 6 for the one on the left.
Okay, so the one in the middle saves, the other two do not. So let me roll this here. Okay, so that's 14 for fire damage, and then 16 for radiant damage. So the ones that fail have a 14 and a 16 total damage, and the one in the middle, what is that, 30 total? So 15 for the one that saved.
Okay. You see the two that are right up against you. You see as this blast of fire comes from behind them, you see almost their skin melt away and a vacancy come to their eyes as they let out a as they get hit by these and collapse to the ground in front of you. The one in the back that saved on its throw, you have seen basically all of the fur on its chest and stomach has been burned away, and you see singes on its flubbery flesh beneath.
Great. And she'll just lock eyes with it and say, "Try me."
All right, it is then going to be Stinger's turn. Stinger, can you please make me another Constitution saving throw?
That's a 14.
You feel this this icy condition melt away from you with the warmth of the fire, and you are back in the fray. Unfortunately, that is your turn.
Ah, okay. A win is a win.
Which means it is then going to be the last Yeti standing's turn. It is going to, having been taunted by Vespira like this, turn its chilling gaze on you, and I'm going to need you to make me a Constitution saving throw, please.
Sure thing. Ha ha! Vespira rolled an 18.
Yeah!
As this thing turns its gaze on you, this wreath of fire around you seems to melt away the iciness of its look, and you are completely unaffected. But it is then going to spring forward and attack.
Lovely.
Whew, that's going to be a 9 on the first one and a 17 on the second.
The 17 does hit.
Okay. You're going to take 7 points of slashing damage and 4 points of cold damage.
Also, with my fire shield, does the resistance to fire or to cold damage do anything with that roll?
So that will reduce the cold damage that you took by half. So you only take 2 points of cold damage.
And also, with that, with the melee attack, the shield erupts with flame, and the attacker takes 2d8 fire damage.
Ooh, cool. Roll that for me.
Slay.
Oh, actually, hold on. Back up 1 second here. I forgot one thing. So, those 2 rolls are actually going to be just its first attack with disadvantage, since it took fire damage on your last turn. So the second attack is then going to be actually only a 12 to hit. Does a 12 hit you?
Oh, no.
So you can completely undo all of that damage that I just did to you. Because this creature took fire damage, it has disadvantage on attack rolls and ability checks until the end of its next turn. So I apologize for that. You do not take any of that damage, but that also means that it is not going to take damage from your fire shield.
Is it still within 5 feet of me?
It has jumped forward and is within 5 feet of you, yes.
Then it still does take my fire damage.
Ooh,
Ooh.
dang it. Okay. All right, roll me those 2d8.
That's going to be 6 fire damage.
This thing's looking pretty rough as it is like taking that heat, which is just like raw pain on this like burned flesh underneath its fur. It like winces and it causes its aim to be off as it swipes at you. And it takes 2 more chunks out of the door above your head. Cameline, it's then going to be your turn.
You'll never guess what I'm going to do. It's called a Constitution saving throw.
Can I have you roll that Constitution saving throw?
Since I can't do anything else. It's a 10, so Cameline's just going to stay frozen. She doesn't have anything she wants to do.
You are unfortunately still frozen, which means we are going to come back to Vespira.
Queen never cry. All right, so Vespira is going to just go ahead and cast Eldritch Blast at this one still standing.
Okay, that will be at disadvantage since it is within melee range of you.
Okay, fine. Disadvantage is a 19 still.
That's gonna hit.
Yippee! That's going to be whopping 5 points of damage.
Woohoo! This thing takes these like blasts of magic from you and almost sort of like seems to stumble back as you have like hit it right on those burn marks again. And you see it is in significant pain as it like tries to stumble back towards you to ready itself for its next attack. But first it is going to be Stinger's turn. And Stinger, you are not paralyzed, so welcome back. What would you like to do?
Man, combat is almost over. I have not even made an attack yet. How? Okay, so that one that was attacking me earlier, is he within, like, melee range actively?
The only one still standing is the one that Vespira just hit with her Eldritch Blast, and it is about 5 feet diagonal to you.
Okay, then let's just keep it simple. Stinger's going to kind of quickly trot his way over to his little bag, and he is going to reach in and start rifling around for something before he pulls out what looks like a small paper mache ball or something. You can't really tell quite what it is, but he takes it and he is going to lob it at this Yeti. How does a 11?
You are actually still going to be within melee range unless you're leaving its threatened area.
Oh,
Correct.
no. Oh, no, that's even worse. Okay.
So roll that with disadvantage.
Okay, you know what? Better idea. I'm just going to take it. It's in my hand, and I'm just going to smash it against this creature, or attempt to. Just hit it with the ball in my hand instead. Does that 11 still hit?
11 is going to miss.
That sucks. Okay, well, I get 2 tries, so I go again.
Do it.
That's a 20. Wait, no.
Nat?
That's a 25.
Nat 20?
No, it's not. Not that.
So sad. Roll me your standard damage then. That is going to hit.
Okay, so first, he is going to take 9 bludgeoning damage, right? Then, just using my silly little treat here, Fury of Small. When you damage a creature whose size is larger than you with an attacker spell, you can deal extra damage. So he's going to be just absolutely smash this thing into this Yeti's ribcage for an extra +4 damage. And then, as this item crushes against this Yeti, you are going to see, everybody else will see just like a yellow stream begin to kind of just form around the impacted area. And you'll hear this loud, angry buzzing as hundreds of bees begin to leave what was actually a hive that Stinger just smashed against this Yeti. And they're going to swarm, covering the thick fur of this Yeti, and begin to sting. And it will also take 3 additional piercing damage.
You smash this nest against like the burned area of its flubbery stomach, and you see it like almost double over in pain with this little like thwack that you in your teeny little form give it. And it starts to straighten up. These bees come spilling out of this nest. In this buzzing, you all almost feel like you hear like a as these buzzing bees start to like stab themselves into the creature. One seems to almost do like a big old loop-de-loop and then land its rear right into this burned spot that the Spira has melted away. And it like looks down at the bee, looks over at you, Stinger, and then falls to its knees, and then falls to the ground and moves no more. You were all out of combat.
Bees?
Bees? Stinger will turn over to you. He'll let out like a quick little whistle, and they'll all immediately kind of just formulate and gather around his shoulders and neck like a cape or a mantle. I think it's called a mantle. And they'll just kind of chill on him. Yeah, I mean, surprised they're doing well. It's kind of cold here for them, but I mean, hey, they're still doing what they got to do. Don't we have a job to do?
I cannot believe you had bees.
You cannot believe because they're bees. It's a bee. It's a bee pun. That was a good one.
I hate you.
Yeah, that was funny.
I hate you a lot, actually. And she'll kind of just look over to Cameline and kind of shake and be like, "Are you alive in there? Or shall I bury you in the snow?"
I believe I'm still frozen, so you're just
roll me
looking at an
Constitution
icicle.
saving throw.
I got a 13 on that one.
As Vespira comes up and sort of shakes you while still being wreathed in this fire, that icy chill melts away from you and you are unparalyzed.
Thank you. I'm glad that I went big or went home, as they say. Thank you for your help. And she'll kind of dust off some of the ice on her.
So you all gather yourselves here from that combat and turn your attention back to the locked door before you. There are 3 long gashes in this door from where the Yetis missed you. And you see through those gashes a dark entrance foyer, also made of this aged wood as the rest of the building. You see a stone fireplace inside that seems empty and cold, and the interior of this building is dark. What would you all like to do?
And Cameline will kind of walk up, put her hand to the gashes. They're not big enough for us to squeeze through, right?
No, they are about 4 inches or so wide. So big enough for you to look through, but not big enough for you to squeeze through unless somebody's gotten large reduce on them.
Cameline will kind of run her finger on it and go, if only we had somebody here who is big, strong, and hot to break through this. As she steps to the side and does the biggest damsel look.
Oh, honey, say less. And Vespera will just go ahead and she I like to imagine this as she tightens her muscles and her biceps just kind of bulge, and then she kind of cracks her neck, and then she casts Mage Hand and goes and unlocks the door through this.
You hear a click and the door creaks open.
Oh, that was a lot. All right. My job's over.
Cameline stands there waiting for someone to push the door open so she can walk in.
There's one designated door opener here. Stinger is shoving his way to the front, once again carrying his big pack. And as he does, he'll put a long, sharp-nailed hand on Cameline, and he is going to cast Cure Wounds on her as well as on himself, as they make their way into this next room.
Oh, thank you.
Well, Cameline, you are going to recover a blistering 17 HP, and I'm going to recover 13 as I push my way past into the next room, leading the charge.
Aren't you glad for that temp HP I so graciously gave you?
By the way, real quick, maybe just for Evan here, did they specifically say what the hot chalky does, or did I just forget?
It has greater restorative properties.
Ah, perfect. Okay. Anyways, I'm pushing forward.
Cameline, as the door is pushed open, will look over at Vespera and go, I knew you were good with your hands. And walk in.
Can you two lovebirds cut that out? Oh my god.
You see, her crimson cheeks have gone more crimson as she's kind of caught off guard a little bit. And she kind of smirks a little bit and walks in after Cameline.
Are you all pulling the door shut behind you or leaving it ajar?
That's a DM trap question if I've ever heard one in my life.
Vespera will go ahead and just cast a little bit of flame in her hand with prestidigitation and to create some light as she shuts the door behind her.
With a creak and then a click of the lock, the door swings shut behind you, and the howling of the wind outside seems to completely, almost as if magically, die away. As you summon this flame into your hand, its light casts dancing shadows against the walls of the seemingly abandoned North Pole. And with a breath that is visible in the air before you, you steady yourself for the next leg of your mission. Performance Check is an original Dungeons & Dragons actual play podcast. All characters, settings, and situations in this story are completely fictional. The cast of Performance Check consists of Michael Soliski as Cameline, Claudia Cromley as Vespera, and Evan Marshall as Stinger. The game is DM'd by Ethan Mann.